22. Start with Pledge Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll review the agenda as posted on the town signboard and the town website. Number 1 is Atlas Renewables Special Use Permit and Site Plan. Applicant seeks to construct a commercial solar collector facility on property located off Oakwood Avenue and Farrell Road. Atlas Renewables LLC is the applicant. And number 2, Blue Sky Towers Special Use Permit and Site Plan Amendment. Applicant seeks to increase the height of the cell tower on property located off Creek Road by an additional 20 feet. Blue Sky Towers 3 LLC is the applicant. The first order of business is the review of the draft meeting minutes from February 16th, 17th, sorry. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, or deletions for the draft meeting minutes?
I had one. I think it's on page 3. This is Andy Gilchrist of, I think it's supposed to be an F.
Oh, yes, I see it. Page 3, line 13. We'll note that.
Anyone else?
Is that right?
You're correct. Yep, should be it.
If I have no other corrections, I'll enter in a motion to accept the draft meeting minutes from February 17th, 2022 as corrected.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we can start with the presentation from Atlas Solar.
My name is Luis Stefan, Director of Atlas Renewables. Thank you again for making the time.
Could you wait just a minute until we get a mic?
Much better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you start one more time?
Great.
Thank you.
My name is Luis Torren, Director of Atlas Renewables. We introduced this project by the February 17th meeting for first time, although that in the past the board was familiar with the North Troy Solar Farm project as well, located initially in the former municipality incinerator. Again, I appreciate very much the support from the town. Considering that project was very difficult, the town moved forward with the seeker review, although that it was a complicated process. But DEC by May 2021 changed the initial plans for the remedial works on that municipal incinerator and therefore make that project economically unfeasible. The remedial works was in the best case $2 million, in the worst case $5 or even more million. So that killed that project. We have not completely withdrawn from that project. We are looking for different options, different solutions, but it's in the midterm, hopefully, to find that solution. Meanwhile, with the support of Mr. Thomas Morley, we planned a different project located within the parcels of Mr. Morley, and as introduced. As you can see on the screen, on the combination of different 4 parcels. The entrance will be from Farrell Road on parcel 80-2-2-3. The parcel will be located on 80-2-311. The interconnection to National Grid will be on parcel 80-2-2-1, although that we will have to cross as well the parcel 80-2-2. A couple of considerations with this project. The interconnection point is the same point as the initial North Troy on the municipality incinerator. We made a consultation with National Grid. We requested if changing the land where originally was planned this project was a change on the queue. National Grid checked internally and they reply in writing that no, we preserve our queue. This is not considered a major change and therefore our position on the queue is the same. We have paid up to now 100% of the interconnection costs with National Grid. So all interconnection costs, all the Form K, which is the agreement with National Grid, it's already signed and executed. We made also another consultation with the DEC in order to connect with the original point. This is the interconnection point. In order to connect with the original point, we have to cross the former incinerator. We asked DEC what was the best route in order to connect to the proposed interconnection point, and DEC recommended us to cross on the northern portion of the parcel 80-2-1. The rationale behind is that if there was municipality garbage in that field, it should be concentrated in the middle of that parcel, but not on the northern part of that parcel. We proceed. We engaged CityMail as an engineering firm to produce this change of use. This change of use on DEC. You have as part of the documentation on Exhibit F, the application to DEC. By when we submitted this application, by February 9th, we didn't receive yet the reply from DEC. As per today, we have the reply that yes, they agree with this proposal. The interconnection will be from this solar farm, initially underground, then we'll turn from underground to overhead, and we'll cross with 7 poles from this point to the interconnection point. Fortunately and happily, in order to cross the wetland, the former incinerator, we have to install only one pole 35 or 45 feet, depending on the considerations. This should be approximately 6 feet underground. CityMail produced some research on that area, took some samples, and it confirmed that no, there is no former municipality garbage or disposals in that portion. This is part of the documentation that CityMail submitted to DEC and DEC reviewed it. We have produced a site layout based on the topographical and the boundary contours prepared by RDM, the surveyor. We are waiting for the weather to be more favorable in order to run a wetland delineation report and also a stormwater pollution prevention plan. With that documentation, we consider that probably the project is complete, although that we would like to ask the board to start the review as soon as possible. In the last meeting, it was requested by Mr. Oster if Mr. Tom Murley could join this next meeting. Kindly, he has joined the meeting, only to show the support from the landowner to this project. If there is any question, more than happy to address these questions.
Any members of the board have questions for the applicant? I have a few. The access road, is that,
The access road is from Arrow Road. It will be a shared access road with the House of Horrors, the paint shooting area, and the solar project.
and is that parcel owned by the same
This is
owner?
correct. If you don't mind to take the first page of the cover letter, on the cover letter, not on the documentation, please. On the first page of the cover letter, it's mentioning 4 parcels. Parcel 80-2-311, it's owned by Toma LLC. The other 3 parcels, 80-2-2, -2, 80-2, -2, 1, 80-2, -3, it's owned by Matopato LLC. Both entities are controlled by Mr. Thomas Murphy.
So you would be getting an easement across that parcel?
You're correct.
And then the same would apply for the
For the interconnection,
interconnection?
you're correct.
And would you be purchasing the land that the solar panels are going on, or would
It's a
you?
land lease agreement.
And my understanding is that this application also has to go before the zoning board of appeals for the height of the
We had an
interconnection
initial
poles.
We had an initial review by Monday this week. It's overlapping between planning and board, so in parallel, we are trying to make progress in both zoning and planning board.
Is this the first time you've been in front of zoning?
Yes. Yes.
Do you anticipate that the site will change based on the wetlands investigation?
It may, although that the initial review is that no, in these approximately 17 acres, we have not identified wetlands. There are wetlands, not on the DEC map, but our understanding is that there are some wetlands maybe here and maybe here. But of course, this is an initial assessment, and when the wetland delineation is completed, it may change the site layout. In any case, this parcel 80-2, 3 11, it's a parcel which a portion of this parcel is a zoning PDD, a portion of that parcel as a zoning is residential, and a portion of this parcel is industrial light. The 17 acres that we are using is within the portion, this portion, which is classified as industrial light.
See from the drawings that the front of the panel is 3 feet off the ground.
This is an example, yes, yes. This is an initial example, yes.
Okay. What's the dimension to the back of the panel? How far off the ground is that?
Probably 12 feet, probably.
12 feet.
12 feet, probably. We can make the calculation, but yes.
All right, so will this array be visible to the people living across this, on the west side of Oakwood Avenue?
We are completing, I remember Mr. Henderson's question, we are completing the visual assessment in a more broader area. Our initial assessment is that the elevation of this zone is approximately 409, 410 feet. The elevation of this zone is similar, 409, 410. Then this is going to slope down to 370, 380. Our initial drawings show show that despite these and these are the same elevation, here there are some trees that we will respect, here there are some trees that we will respect, and here there are some trees that it's out of our control, that we understand that it will be. This is approximately, as a rough estimation, conservative estimation, it's 40 feet elevation. 40 feet elevation, it's much more than these 12 feet. In any case, as Mrs. Stancliffe mentioned, it may have some changes on the layout. It may change from fixed structure, as the drawings that we have produced, to one-axis tracker, depending on the radiation, depending on different conditions. If we change to one-axis tracker, the elevation will be 9 feet. It will not be 12 feet. One-axis tracker means that if this is east, then in the morning, the modules are looking to the east. In the midday, they are looking to the sky. And in the evening, they are looking to the west. So it's one axis tracking the sun. We may change to this technology, but we need to check first what is the wetlands, what are the different factors. In any case, more than these 12 feet, I do not anticipate that this will be the elevation. And in any case, these 12 feet, it's much less than the 40 feet conservatively, that the elevation of these trees.
All right. A lot of information. Can you just give me a short answer? Yes?
Sorry, no, there will be no.
Are you going through a visual impact assessment? Yeah. So
Yes.
they're going through the visual impact assessment, and they'll be able to answer that question once they get all the
We are working on
data
it.
together. Can you tell us where your visual points are
What we are
going to be
producing
in
is-
your assessment?
What we are producing is the complete area. Hopefully, in the next planning board, one of my partners, John Watson, will be here and will show with the projector the simulation of the complete area. We try to avoid to simulate some specific points, because wherever points that we simulate, then there is another point that is requested. So we are trying to simulate the complete area, and then at the will of the town, show me how it looks like from here. And we'll try to navigate to that point and show how it looks like in winter and in summer conditions. So we are trying to work on this. It's not easy, but I think it's the most comprehensive and the one which can give more comfort to the town.
And because you have the other applications still pending before the board, will both applications be considered in the visual assessment?
We are open to consider that others applications, Brunswick and Seekaway, as a whole, especially this one, considering Brunswick and Seekaway, which will not be the same neighbors, which will not be, if there is any impact, it's not the same neighbors on traffic, on noise, on visual. So we are open to consider a joint application, but we think that it's more reasonable, especially this North Troy, to be an independent project.
Do you want to opine on that?
Well, we'll have to look at that issue. Your application has not been withdrawn. So there is a still pending application for a proposed solar project on the former incinerator site. And this one is in close proximity to that. And for purposes of seeker, some kind of cumulative assessment in terms of visual probably is appropriate on the record.
Apologies, I thought that we were talking about Brunswick and Seekaway Solar Farm. No.
No, this
Okay,
is
okay,
right
okay.
on Oakwood.
No. Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
We are open.
We still don't have enough information to deem the application complete, is that correct?
They're still working on the SWIP. They don't have the wetlands delineated. I mean, the plans are fairly comprehensive, but there's some information that probably should be made available for review prior to a public hearing.
Luis, did you say that the DEC sent you a letter okaying the connection point on the north end of that site?
Yes,
If you could
it
send
was
that.
addressed to Mr. Thomas Murley, CC'd me. Why to Mr. Thomas Murley? Because he's the owner of the land, and therefore, but yes.
be able to get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and any correspondence on the soil testing
Okay.
would be good.
The documentation with the soil testing, it's part of the
Is it in here
documentation.
somewhere?
Yes, it's on appendix F, on the change, NICEAG change of use application. At the end of
Okay.
there is the photo log and there is the documentation. We'll provide you with the copy of the email from DEC confirming that they are okay crossing.
So those poles you were referring to on the north end of the property, are they gonna come out right between Mr. Murley's current property on Oakwood Avenue and the residence?
Between the end of the Mr. Thomas Morley property and the new residences, there is a line which belongs to National Grid. This line, here there is a transmission line from National Grid.
Yeah.
Because it's a transmission line. Because it's a transmission line, we cannot connect in a small project like this. This is a distributed generation project, and we can connect only to distribution lines. And that's why we have heating, we have to connect here instead of connecting here.
So my question, is that close to his project on Oakwood Avenue? Right? Tom, is that near your project on Oakwood Avenue?
Yeah, it's on the same property as Diamond Rock Plaza, but
That's
it's a
right.
very, very north end
Gotcha.
of it. And it's the one house that's in the city of Troy.
Yep.
There's the big 13,000 volt National Grid line that
Yep.
goes all the way through that whole area.
Gotcha.
Their line is gonna be on the south side of that National Grid, so shouldn't really impact anybody.
Gotcha. Thank
The
you.
only thing, there's only one pole that's gonna be in that, the old landfill portion of the property.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all gravel material down in there, so.
Tom, are you still planning a development in that property just to the east?
Yeah, just to give you some background, there's like 80 acres left that I own that are under Topatoma LLC. And I had that laid out for 137 lots, single-family lots. We get into the review, we sent the information out to about 50 different developers and had no interest from any of them to do single-family homes. We did have a conversation with the developer or the contractor that did the Brunswick Meadows condominium project. He said he would be interested in doing a similar size project on that property if we got all the approvals for him. So we've looked at that. That's a little time consuming now, and I know there's the moratorium on the multifamily housing in the town, so I'm not sure has expired yet, but we've got a preliminary layout of a condominium project, which would be on the very north end. It would come across on the other side of the creek from Brunswick Meadows. But it'd be the same developer, Piglavento, be a similar condominium type homes and similar number of units. And they would all come off of a road that would go out to Liberty Road, so. But to do the whole 80 acres, Brunswick Meadows, we started that in 2004, and we just sold the last unit in 2021. So that took us 18 years to do Brunswick Meadows, to go through the whole process, get all the approvals, and then eventually get into the construction and the selling of the lots. So to do the whole 80 acres, and there's not really too many people doing single-family homes anyplace. And this particular site has got a lot of rock on it, so it makes it even more difficult, more expensive, so. But Piglavento's interested in doing a smaller, similar-sized project as Brunswick Meadows on that north end of the property. So that's basically what we're looking at now. And I think once the moratorium with the Brunswick is over with for the multifamily, then we'll probably come in and give you some preliminary layouts on that and see where we go from there.
What's the rough width of that lot, that 80 acres?
Changes. I'm guessing maybe 1,000 feet from Liberty Road back to the landfill
Scale
property.
there, but I can't read.
You know, I'd say Liberty Road is over here.
Yeah.
From that point over to the landfill property, I'm guessing that's gonna be 1,000 feet or more. It's quite a distance. So And the other thing, just about the visual impact, I was city engineer when we did the High Point development. And city manager at the time, John Buckley, said, make sure there's no units put on the town of Brunswick property. Leave that off of trees as a buffer along Oakwood Avenue. So you can't even see those units from Oakwood Avenue. They can't see down on Oakwood Avenue. So that's why there's a 200-foot strip there that was in the town of Brunswick, but was never developed as part of the High Point condominium townhouse project.
The right of way for Oakwood Ave's pretty wide.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's a lot of things with Oakwood Avenue, they didn't come up with that. That last episode I had.
Tom, the two residents that are up on Liberty there that adjoin, be to the east, directly to the east of the solar panels, what's the terrain between them and the solar panels? Is that uphill,
Got a
downhill?
knob there?
Right in here?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a big hill right up in here, very high hill. My son's house is right here.
right.
He's the closest one. There's Orion's house and there's Sam Miller. And then there was I can't think of his name, he passed away a couple years ago. But he's not visible either to it, so. But this is a big huge knob in here.
Yep.
Would be, beautiful place for a house, but kid went to Sweden, what can I do?
Well, here's the distance you asked for, Wayne. I have 1613 from Liberty Road to the edge of, that would be the western edge of the paintball
To
facility.
the western edge of the paintball?
Western edge of the paintball facility.
Okay, so it's a lot width
So,
of.
yeah, I'm just
that
guessing
acre's
where
Probably
the,
800 feet.
I'm just guessing where the panels would be, and that's 750 and change.
My son's lot is basically about 400 feet deep, just to give you a ballpark. So if you were to double that, you get the panels, so
That makes sense, yeah.
it's about 800 feet or so from Liberty Road to the panels.
Are there any other questions? Well, we
I have
can,
a question. I really struggle with this. Do we need this? Do we need this? How many solar projects have we got in town now? Anybody who wants to sign up to get a discount on their electric power has probably already done so. They've had numerous opportunities. Do we need more? I just question the need.
I think it's all driven by the current administration, New York State's desire to have 70% in renewable energy by 2035. I think that's the driver. I think that's why we're seeing all these solar farms come up.
That's statewide.
That is statewide.
It doesn't mean we have to.
Exactly.
So where is the state now with that?
So on that issue, Don, I would advise this board, if the proposal for the panel locations is within the light industrial district and large-scale commercial solar is an allowable use within the light industrial district, on this particular project, the issue of need doesn't come up. It is a use that's allowed in the code. I'll give you this analogy. A lot of people say, why do we need another gas station? Well, gas stations are allowable use in certain zones, and if there's a commercial venture that wants to do that, that's an allowable use. This is similar, where the town has identified light industrial as a zone in which large-scale commercial solar is an allowable use, subject to site plan and special use permit. And that's why the project is in front of this board. And so the issue of need doesn't come up. It's just compliance with the Brunswick zoning law requirements for special use permit and site plan for large-scale commercial solar. There are other proposals in town with this particular applicant for parcels that are not currently zoned for large-scale commercial, and there the issue of need is relevant, but that's a zoning board issue on a variance review. This does, though, give rise to one comment that I had, which is Wayne and I should check the zoning law on what is included within the large-scale commercial solar project, and does that include the access road? And is the access road within a zoning district where large-scale commercial solar is allowable? And I'll give you this analogy. In New York, when dealing with mining facilities, it's not simply the area where the excavation occurs, it's the access road and the haul roads. So we'll have to look at that under the zoning law as to how the commercial, large-scale commercial solar site is defined, and if it includes the access road, we'll have to look at that issue.
The access road is totally in the light industrial zone.
Well, isn't it part of the PDD?
No,
It just misses it.
A portion of it crosses to the PDD, yes.
Yeah.
A portion of it crosses to the PDD. So this portion is industrial light and this portion is.
Can you show that to me again, where the
Yes.
PDD is?
The PDD is this portion.
Yeah, that's where the food ball is, right? And that other parcel is light industrial? To the west, where your driveway
This
comes in?
industrial, this, all this parcel is industrial, this parcel is industrial, and this portion of the parcel is industrial.
Are there any other comments? Well, we could put you on our next agenda for March 17th, or if you feel more comfortable being on the April 7th agenda.
let me check internally with my partner, John Watson, if he's available. If he has the drawings, the visual drawings available for 17th, then I would like to be on the March 17th in order to provide the board these simulations. If the drawings, which are complex, are not ready, then I would prefer to jump into the next April meeting.
Well, why don't we put you on the agenda for the 17th, and if you can't attend, contact
Thank you.
the office, and we'll table you until April.
Thank you very much.
And before this application's done, what was discussed at the zoning board Monday night, and I'll discuss with this board, is since there's both the planning board review for the special use permit and site plan and zoning board review for the variance, that the Brunswick zoning law does promote coordination of board reviews, and this may be one of the projects where, once complete, there may be consideration for a joint public hearing with the zoning board. So I'll just add that procedure.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you a few minutes to break down.
Rather relaxing.
We're supposed to have. I type it? Okay, next on our agenda is Blue Sky Tower special use permit and site plan amendment. Is anyone here from Blue Sky Towers? We'll wait for Chuck to get back to see if he has any information to share. Chuck, did you get any correspondence from Blue Sky Tower regarding?
From Blue Sky Towers? No, the correspondence comes from Aerosmith.
So,
For the cell tower?
yeah, they were on our
Yeah,
agenda
they
for
are
tonight.
the applicants.
Okay. So we'll table that until the next.
So,
Well, we're still-
right, so
we
we'll
have things to
update
talk about.
the board on that. And Chuck, you can confirm me if I'm missing anything. There was an application submitted by the contractor. I don't know at this point who the owner of the tower is or who the applicant should be, but an application, my understanding, was made by the contractor. And one copy was submitted, and the building department responded by saying, it's not complete, we need at least additional copies. And the building department was in receipt of a response from the contractor citing federal law and regulations and shot clock timeframes and a limited period of time to respond in writing as to completeness. And if you fail to do that within that period of time, then the shot clock continues. And that was,
And the other, the applicant did say, and we don't require an EAF. So there will be no EAF.
so my suggestion to the building department was whatever information we do have on this should get reviewed minimally by Wayne. And I'll review it as well to determine all items of incompleteness under the town's special use permit and site plan regulations and telecommunications requirements, and provide to this applicant a full written list of items that will be required to deem the application complete. And then we'll go from there.
What shot clock are they talking about?
So this is under the Federal Telecommunications Act. And there are certain federal regulations, again, because under federal law, these towers are promoted. They are deemed to be important for communication purposes in the country, and the preference is approval. And there are limited times in which municipalities have in which to review these applications and make determinations. And then there are very difficult standards in the event a municipality denies approval for these telecommunications facilities. Judicial review is very difficult for municipalities because of the federal law. So what he's referring to is the timeframes under federal regulations promoting the construction of these telecommunications facilities. That's why on the application originally for this location, we had multiple extensions of the federal shot clock while we were working through the issues. Contrary to that, the current applicant seems to be steadfastly holding to federal regulatory timeframes for the shot clock. So I do think we should review this to determine completeness and get a written response to them. And that needs to happen before your next board meeting. So if board members, do they have any? You only got one copy of the
One copy.
So I think if the board is okay, that should get reviewed by Wayne, and I'll review that with you. And we'll come up with a list and work with the building department on items of completeness.
So this is the contractor requiring this?
It's a very good question. I've seen correspondence, you're right, from, or at least an email from Aero. What's it called?
Aerosmith, AIR.
Aerosmith? Really? Okay.
Wouldn't the owner be?
Well, the owner would ultimately have to also sign the application form.
Right.
as well as the underlying fee owner, presumably, because this was, again, a rented
Right,
area.
right.
And so those are items that minimally we'll review in terms of appropriate applicants and required signatories, as well as substantive requirements.
What I have electronically, I will get to you guys. But I only have one hard copy.
One of the things that we'll be looking at on this that kind of comes to my mind is the extent of the seeker review, particularly the visual assessment associated with the underlying project, the analysis of 3 different locations, the balloon flight, the drone videos that were provided and reviewed by the board, and the fairly detailed seeker determination that was made on the project. Adding a proposed additional 20 feet, we're going to have to look at that for purposes of how that impacts the prior seeker review and what may be required in terms of further seeker review for the proposed additional 20 feet. That was the significant issue associated with this project, both from the planning board and zoning board review, as well as neighbor comments about the visual impact of the tower. And a lot of time was spent on tower heights, tower locations, and hiding, camouflaging the tower through the tree structure. And so I still think there's a fair amount of work to be done in a proposal to add height now, given the location that was picked was at the highest topographic elevation, but at the lowest tower height,
Which was roughly 80 feet.
85 feet.
So they're asking for almost a 25% increase in height.
Correct.
Somebody missed it, that's decimal point.
That's significant. So
So we'll add that to our March 17th agenda as well. And next on our agenda is new business. We have
Yes, a subdivision of the Wetbacks out on Krieger Lane.
is someone here?
No, this is just part of the working portion of the meeting.
Okay.
For review of the new plan. Minor. It's just. Oh, okay, they did. I just thought they were doing those.
What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's, doesn't, they're not doing any infrastructure, it's still a minor?
You know, I don't have my subdivision regs with me. If we can grab those. No. Okay, so a minor is any subdivision containing not more than 4 lots fronting on an existing street, not involving any new street or road or extension of municipal facilities. So do all of these lots front on an existing road?
Sure do, Krieger Lane.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
But this is adding three lots to a dead-end road that has,
They're already over.
Is Krieger Lane dead end? Yeah.
Lane is where Vickers is.
Oh, I recall. That's the question, do they front directly on the town road? So at least we don't have the easement issues, right?
These actually do, yes.
So these front on the public road, but there's more than, already more than 12 lots on this, so that will require ultimately a referral by this board to the town board.
Question. Didn't Vickers have that already approved?
For one lot.
For one lot.
For
and-
one lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that if there's additional lots being proposed, those have to be considered by the town board and to see what the total lots would then be on this dead-end road system.
By this lot, cheaper than building that road. Well, maybe.
1 3-acre, 1 4-acre.
We got way too many for two of these lots over here.
The point of this is we have to sell these 2 lots to be able to get enough money for the agreements and I guess to build on this lot. Because they don't really put this in the bank, because this is health is scale. So we can pay the kids there all the time, so they don't have to push by and go.
Is this lot, that landlocked too?
So is this considered a non-realty subdivision?
That's the backside of Phil's farm, right?
Yes, that's the.
What are the size of the lots?
The smallest is 3.
4,
2
3,
acres.
6.7,
Is that
31.
landlocked?
and remaining is 30.
They all meet with the number.
It might be. I will have to check
That's the lot
again.
too.
That is one concept that always is confusing to me, that
I have to,
realty versus non-realty subdivision and requirements.
So 355, what's the rule?
553,
553.
They show the road, they just don't show.
5
the-
lots in
the
5
easement.
years,
Five-
more than,
The road going all through there.
5 lots
Trail.
or less, no, 5, up to 5 lots, 5 acres or less? No, that's not right.
Yeah, that it's,
Yeah.
I will check that before the next meeting.
I think it is, but I can't prove it.
What's that?
I think it's a non-realty subdivision, but I can't prove it.
Is that like, you know it when you see it? The difference between art and pornography? And then, when was the last lot they sold off?
I think that was the Livingston Fishery and
This
the
was
last lot she did right here,
the
right?
last time they cut off a lot, that would give them 5 lots.
Flickr, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we'll need to know the time frame.
Oh, short.
Because that would throw them in the major.
Correct.
this house here, I don't know when that lot was sold. That's fairly new.
Where's the lot?
I don't know, it could be this one, it could be this one.
Is that the
Well-
one in the northern section, Linda?
Yeah.
Could be any of them, because they,
Right.
she's been doing it a lot here, a lot there for.
Quite some time.
Yeah, it catches up to you after a while.
There was a subdivision in 2015.
7 years.
The one on the bend was 2015. It sits on the inside of the bend.
Mhm.
The one on the top of the cul-de-sac
is 2014. So this one was, I think, the latest, 2015. And I don't think I've gotten an update since 2018, so we can't go past that.
June 20th. June 20th of 2015.
Do we know if that power line is private or? Doesn't it matter?
You saying there's a power right away through there?
I don't know, I'm just at, there's a power line that crosses lot 3. I don't know whether it needs an easement or,
I'm not seeing it here as any right of way.
That would be a question for Brian.
Then it goes down here to
The other thing is lot 2.
down here.
If you see lot 2, it says a gravel road. That goes back to that area that's 5.32 acres. And that's a landlocked parcel back there.
Yep, that's all part of the lower parcel. There's a land hook there.
Lot 2. Lot 2, there's a gravel road that goes across that.
Oh, yes, yep.
And that goes back to that area.
oh, gross.
Uh-huh. It says 5.32 acres.
It's not landlocked because it's connected.
Yeah,
to
there's a
this
land hook
piece.
there.
See that?
It's connected.
A little Z, that means it's the same parcel.
Yeah, these two are the same. They'll have the same SBL number.
Which
These
one?
two parcels.
No, they're not.
No, yeah, there's a land hook there. So that's one of the changes they're probably, maybe one of the changes that they're doing.
Is that existing or
This is-
proposed land hook?
See, because there was a separate owner on that originally. This parcel.
So right now it shows Whitbeck owns that right now.
Yep. That's what it shows.
How come they don't touch?
Yeah. Where does gross property line end?
Yeah, Gross's property sneaks up behind her, doesn't have any dead end to it. Look at that. That's odd.
Unless it comes all the way out to Cougar
Looks like
Lane.
it's almost attached to Lito's property, the way it's drawn from Brian. It's odd.
Sure does look that way, huh?
Yeah. Let's ask him about that.
So that gravel road goes to Gross's property? I don't, that gravel road, does that go to Gross's property? When it runs through lot 2?
Lot 2 goes back.
It says Field Lane, and then it says Trail over on the other.
This is a knob. This is pretty steep, but maybe Whitbeck used that road to get.
Yeah, survey.
You wouldn't have any access to the service line if you had this guy's property. Gross.
Well, Gross might be on the lower road.
Can't see that. He's with it. He's probably on the other side of town. Yeah, I don't see how we get through the.
There's not Tamarack,
There's,
there's another road in there.
It's,
There's a road where they put those two new houses, that Farrell built those two houses.
On Lock Road?
Yeah, right on Lock
That's
Road
before
by
you
the
get to
Caters,
Tamarack.
big house.
Oh, there's a little
road
note
that
there.
goes
See,
back
it's
to-
subject to the rights of Whitbeck for the purpose of
doesn't go all the way
egress
back
to
to
the
the-
5.32
It
acres
stops at,
woodcut.
Curtis's property.
They have an easement there.
That's gonna be,
Curtis Lane.
Stanley E. Curtis.
Not looking at the map, will any of these lot, not the four that apparently have frontage, is any land left to be accessed only by easement to a public road?
That's what we're trying to figure
I
out.
would say that would be the gross parcel.
Looks like there's only
Is it existing?
Yes.
so subject to the right of Whitbeck
You see that one?
for the purpose of ingress and egress to the
See that little road
5.32
goes up
lot.
into here to this parcel.
Huh.
And they were saying, well, like they thought.
Well, who owns it?
That's owned by Gross.
Well, yes, but do they own this?
Oof. To tell by the drawing.
Yeah, it is.
Did you take a look at it?
No.
You got a copy.
Oh, I got a copy.
Should've done with all your stuff.
Of course I got a copy. Jeez.
Uncle Edson.
This is what you guys see, this is what we're talking about, you're looking at this road right up here,
Mm-hmm.
going over the Gross parcel here.
Yeah.
Ah,
And they said, well, maybe, on the backside of Lock Road, come up Curtis Lane, and that does not get to that parcel.
Uh-huh.
So the only access to that
Yeah, there's two right away. There's two easement roads. So it looks like there is an easement to get to that. Another one here. Thanks, Brian.
Do we fix keep Krieger Lane at the same time to,
You mean finish the cul-de-sac?
yeah, or make it compliant?
I'm not certain what they do for plowing there.
They go right around.
It may very well be just like Kite Lane where they go right around the house.
They do, yeah.
They do.
They do,
And the bus goes around too.
It's right,
Which is
I mean, it's
pretty
like
close to
right
the
in front door. There you go.
yeah.
Yep.
So it'd be an increase of 4 homes for it's on the cul-de-sac over, right?
Add 3.
Yeah, 3, we got the one existing, you're right, would be 3. So the fourth parcel already has a residence. So plus
What do you do about the one you gave the Vickers?
we'd have to come in and go to the town board again.
That was already,
That was pre-approved, right?
No, do we start at 13 or do we start at 12? Or what is it? I don't know what the number is now.
If you already have the pre-approval, we probably have to stop after the Vickers approval. So, whatever that number is.
13, and then 3 more, and 16.
so we'll put them on the agenda for the 17th as well.
it'd be helpful if Brian Holberter was here to
Holbrook will be here.
discuss all that. That's a tough site, obviously, in terms of driveways, access, easements, public roads, proposed lots.
Yep.
Number of lots on the cul-de-sac road.
Do you tell the grosses what's going on?
Well, they'll be noticed for sure, because this, whether it's a minor or major, will require a public hearing, so they'll be noticed. But there may be, not maybe, there will be town board involvement on this before a public hearing to see if even these number of lots are approvable on the dead-end road. among others, like we really need more information from Brian on access to those rear parcels and how that plays into this proposal.
That's a vacant parcel, right? A closed parcel?
Just no woods, right?
And in that, it's a. They live in Bethel, Connecticut.
And we also have anything else about that one? We also have the letter from LaBerge about Brunswick Acres PDD, slope stability analysis. Will they be ready for coming before us?
I have not heard of their intentions whatsoever. We've got this from Ron, but I haven't heard anything from the applicant.
Okay.
My assumption is that Ron did send it to the applicant.
What's our extension date to that one? When does that run out? I know we extended it, right?
Yes, my recollection is it was through a date in April.
April?
Yeah.
So we'll have to do something between now and April.
That shot clock thing with the cell tower. They don't give us all the information we need by the time the clock expires. We can't approve it, can we?
Well, that's something that I have to look at. That there are regulations pertaining to when the board can identify items that need to be completed. I've got to check the regulations on, well, what happens if they don't supply that information? What happens to the shot clock? Wayne and I will review that. It seemed to be a little bit of a direct response by this particular applicant. Usually applicants are a little bit more cooperative with building departments. This one, at least on the face of it, didn't appear to be. A little blunt.
Not Dave Brennan, huh?
I've not heard from Dave on this particular application.
Is there any old business to discuss?
Had a crane at Harbor Freight today. Put steel in.
Put steel up. 4 guys, crane operator, ground man, 2 on the arm. That's all it takes.
And they're trucking fill out of Aldi's, I think, all day.
Well, actually, it's cleaning up that rubble in the back there. That is going to be the new parking lot for the concert series.
They're gonna make them walk all the way over.
There's a shortcut through there. You're not gonna have to go all the way out to the road. Yeah, that's what and the other, a bunch of material also went up to the Newbury Road area for parking for the trail system that they plan on putting up through there as well. So the town is benefiting from some of the excess material that needs to come off that site.
Good.
Okay, so I have on the agenda for March 17th, Atlas Renewables site plan, special use permit application, Blue Sky Towers site plan amendment, special use permit, and Whitbeck subdivision,
Probably Bel Air Solar.
Bel Air Solar, and CVE Solar? Or is that the same one?
That's the same thing.
Bel Air, yeah.
Bel Air Lane,
Bel Air
CVE
Lane.
Solar.
thank you, yeah.
I submitted some comments to the applicant and
Yep.
we're looking at them now.
Do we know of any others? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.